All right. We'll switch you out real quick. There you go, Jess. Hold on.
Let us make sure all the technology works.
Oops, hold on.
Everybody's got their coffee? Coca-Cola? We're good to go? All right.
Jess doesn't need a mic.
This is my mic. Oh, is that mic on?
No, that mic's
That
also
mic's not
dead,
on.
too.
It was
so-
working earlier, I promise. Don't worry, I am a mic. We won't need an external volume source for me. All right, are we good? Can we lower the lights at all? Little bit? My slides are a little bit light. Is that better? Now you guys are dark. Whoa, strobe lights. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come to a technical event on a Saturday. I know that a lot of you are probably taking time away from family or home or friends, but thank you for investing the time in your career and in the technical community. So if I need a round of applause just for all of the organizers, it's a lot of work to put one of these on. Now, you're here on a Saturday, and you're here to listen to me talk about why busy is a four-letter word. Why would you be interested in what I have to say? Well, my name is Jes Borland. I live just a few hours north, up in Wisconsin. I am I was going to say my previous job title. I just changed jobs 3 weeks ago, so this is new to me. I have a new job as a SQL Server Premier Field Engineer working for Microsoft. I'm a runner. I'm currently training for my first ultra marathon. That is 31.4 miles on trails in a single day, not in a car. Yes, I know, I'm crazy. And I love reading, that's my big passion. But I have a secret. I am a busy person. My motto used to be, if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. How many of you have had that feeling? How many of you have said to yourself, I'm busy? Let's see, a few years ago, I want to say it was maybe about 10 years ago, at one point I was working full-time. I was going to school part-time. I was on the board of directors for my local JCs, which meant probably 2 to 3 meetings a month plus running events. Oh, and did I mention I was also planning my wedding and my reception while I was probably training for a 5K or something like that. The ultra marathon thing is new. Took a few years to build up to that. But I was always busy. Every night I was in a meeting or I was doing homework or both. And then maybe 5 years ago, as my career progressed, sure, I wasn't in school anymore, but I was still working full-time. I would spend my evenings researching something in SQL Server. I was writing blog posts. I was working on presentations. I was in the JCs. I was volunteering with other organizations. I was training for my first full marathon. That happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago this weekend, actually, so that's kind of crazy. But again, I was always busy. If someone wanted something done, I would say yes. Jess, can you present for our user group? Yes, absolutely. Friends, can you come out to dinner on Tuesday night? Yes, absolutely. Someone would ask if I could review a blog post for them. Yes, of course I can. Can you come out to our SQL Saturday? Yes, of course I can. And suddenly, I had no free time. I had no free weekends any given month. I was either running a race or traveling or to somewhere. I was always busy. I was never bored. And what happened? My quality started declining. Sure, I can give 30 technical talks in a year, absolutely. But am I giving 30 quality technical talks? Or am I giving 3 quality technical talks and 27 hurried ones because I'm busy? Same thing with family time, right? Sure, I can be at the niece's birthday party and I can be here and I can be there, but am I mentally present? Or am I just physically present because my mind is racing about the 7 other things I need to get done when I get home before I go to bed to be ready for work? So, I took it upon myself. Wait. There we go. You'd think I'd never used a clicker before. I took it upon myself to actively work at becoming less busy, because I feel that being busy is a disease. And I now refer to it as the disease of being busy. Let's look at that technical definition of disease. Impairs normal functioning, manifested by distinguishing signs and symptoms. Does being busy impair your normal self? Yes, absolutely, it does. You're maybe not as happy as you normally would be. You get to be short with people. You're not getting the sleep that you need. Who here thinks they get enough sleep every night? Okay, a couple people. Good. I'm going to be talking to you. You're going to come up and give your how-to later. Being busy, and not just once in a while, but continuously, constantly being busy, becomes a disease. It becomes an illness, just like anything else that affects your physical and mental performance. What I want you to think about as I'm going through these slides today is how you're measuring your time. Are you measuring your worth by how much you are doing, rather than by the value of what you are doing? Are 10 small things, or 100 small things, or some weeks it may feel like 1,000 small things, better than one big, impactful, meaningful thing? One of the best quotes that I've ever read on this was in a blog post, and this struck me. I have this quote printed out and sitting on my office wall. Tell me that you are a human being, not just a human doing. Think about it. How many of you today ran into someone you knew and said hi to them? Okay, cool. How many of them asked you, how are you doing, and you said, I'm busy? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Someone admits. How many of you do that at some point during the week? Someone asks you, how are you doing, and you say, I'm busy. Wouldn't it be nice if instead we could take the time to say, I'm doing great. I just got back from this wonderful vacation. I'm so relaxed. I'm so energized. Let me tell you about it. Wouldn't it be great if you could say, you know, gosh, I'm really having a hard time. I'm really sad. You know, I'm just having some family stuff. Maybe we can talk about that for a little bit. Can we go have coffee or something? Or, gosh, I'm really excited. I'm learning this new language. I have some ideas about how to implement it. And that could be either a speaking language or a programming language. This is a good crowd for that one. What I want you again to get towards is remembering, and when you're talking to people, talking about how you are doing things. You are not just being busy. I want you to be able to work towards being bored. Bored should not be a 4-letter word. Busy should be. It is only when we become bored, when we have that time to just sit and think, we have time to let our mind wander, that we have our best ideas, that we really solve problems, that we get to think about things really, truly in depth. So my goal today is to get you with some specific steps to go from being busy all the time to being bored. The first step is really having some introspection. Why are we busy all the time? Now, in today's modern society, it's not hard to imagine why we're always busy, right? There's always something. From the moment you get up and check your phone, there's constant bombardment from your smartphone, social media, television, radio, advertisements, people. There's always technology land here, one more new skill to learn. There's another framework we have to keep up on. There's a new restaurant we have to go to because everyone's posted things on Instagram. There's another TV show on Netflix we have to keep up with because everyone else at the office is doing it. So what are some of the reasons we're doing it? How many of you would rather say no than yes? Okay. But how much easier is it to say yes? It's so much easier to say yes. When we say yes to things, people like us. It makes them happy. It makes us happy. It does, right? It makes us happier to please people. So sometimes we become busy people because our default response is just yes. If there's one thing that I hope you get out of this talk above all others, I'm going to be going over some strategies for how to say no. Because sometimes just knowing how to say no is the best part. One of my favorite quotes from my friend Aaron Stellato is, "Don't let other people's successes be your failures." This is another common reason I see so many people. All right, I see there are plenty of people back by the doors. If you guys want to come down, there are some seats over here near the front, wide open. What do you do when you see a coworker that gets a promotion? Do you think, gosh, I need to work harder so that I can do the same thing? You know, you've got a neighbor that is always talking about their fantastic garden and their 3 wonderful grandchildren and how they went on 7 vacations last year, and you think, I should probably work on my garden and have my family over so they can see me doing that and talk to them about this fabulous thing that I did this weekend. Again, we become busy because we are trying to compare ourselves to others. But we can't do that. We have to stop that. Number one, your successes are still your successes. Celebrate those. Number two, remember when you look at anyone else in this room, anyone at work, anyone you interact with on a daily or weekly basis, they're always fighting some battle that you don't know about. That coworker that's working really hard and getting that promotion, maybe they're very lonely in their personal life. Maybe that neighbor has family problems or health issues that you're not aware of. Everyone is fighting a battle you don't see. You have no idea what it has taken that other person to get to where they are. So we do not want to become busy people just because we're thinking about what other people are doing. And last but not least, we don't want to be a busy person just because we are trying to figure out who we are. If you are doing everything, if you are just saying yes to everything, if you are doing 100 things because you want to try to figure out who you are, being busy is probably the worst way to do that. It's better to do fewer things and say, do I really love this? Do I really enjoy this? Does this fulfill me? Than to be doing 100 things hoping that one of them will click. Now, how am I going to get you from being a busy, overworked, overcommitted, not sleeping enough person to being bored? Well, my secret, and I'm going to recommend that everyone at least check this book out. There's a whole bunch of self-help books out there. Some of them are good. Essentialism by Gregory McCown. This book is about 18 chapters, and I've read it 3 times in the last 2 years. Every time I read it, I learn something different. Essentialism is based on this philosophy. What I had mentioned earlier. We are going to be happier and more fulfilled if we put our energy into one important thing rather than 10 or 100 or 1,000 small things. But it's really hard to go from doing those 10 or 100 or 1,000 little things to the one thing. So what we need to do is practice a methodology to get there and to stay there. So this is the what I want you to think about. What are you doing right now? And this is a good exercise at some point in the next week. Sit down and just list out all of the things that you do at work, at home, in the community, and your hobbies. And then think about, okay, what do I want to be doing? How many of you are doing something right now that you absolutely do not want to be doing? You're on the PTO board, you're on a project at work that you don't like, you agreed to run a bake sale for the kids at school. It's something that you absolutely don't want to be doing. And then, after you've narrowed down what you do want to be doing, what you love, what you're good at, right? I should have like one of those Venn diagrams of like what you're good and what you love and that little Eden in the middle of how perfect everything is if you can find all of it. We want to pick the priority. What is the one most important thing? So, identifying what you're doing. For myself, I break this down into 3 main categories: work and home, and then my hobbies, my social life. So let's take back about 5 years ago and talk about Jess. Jess was just started her first consulting job. So at work, I did a lot of everything. I was going to be a consultant, and I was going to be a trainer. I was going to know about SQL Server, but I also had to work a little bit with developers. So I was trying to go back and start coding again. Azure was also coming onto the scene. Who remembers Azure about 5 years ago? So I wanted to learn some of that too. Outside of that, I was training for my first marathon, as I mentioned. I was running the SQL Saturday every year, running my own user group. I think I had started my 3rd one by that year. In addition to all of the things that you do, right? You go home every night and you make dinner. You spend time with your family. You spend time with your friends. I was busy all the time. But what helped is one day I sat down, I literally pulled out a notebook and a pen, and I wrote down everything I was doing. Every blog post I was working on, the book that I was trying to help write, the conferences that I had agreed to speak at, the things I was trying to learn at work. 3 pages later, I realized that's a lot. It was. For one person, that was just a lot. But that's helpful, right? You're not going to be able to get from busy to bored unless you can identify what you're busy with. So it helps to just sit down and write that out. Then what I did is I went through that list and I rated everything. What do I love? What do I like? What do I absolutely hate on this list? And there were some things I realized I really did love. I love speaking. I do. I speak a lot. I like blogging. I hate writing books. Simple enough. But by simply going through and categorizing out what I was working on, that helped a lot. In terms of, things that were going on at home, I love cooking. Like coming home from work, or now that I work from home, really leaving my home office and walking the 10 steps to the kitchen, I love cooking dinner. It's my way of unwinding. I like cleaning the house. I know you're all thinking, what? I do like cleaning my house, but I hate doing yard work. I hate doing yard work. Please, don't ask me to mow the yard or weed the garden. No. Again, I prioritized those things. What do I need to do? What do I like doing? What do I hate doing? Even with my hobbies, right? I was on the board of directors for a couple of organizations, volunteering at events, running, cycling. And on top of that, I was taking violin lessons, right? Like just trying to fill my time. Like these are all the things you're supposed to be doing. I think I had seen a blog post about how you're supposed to have a, something you love that makes you money, something you love that keeps you healthy, and something you love that's artistic. And so I was trying to fill all of those. Terrible decision. But again, I sat down and I rated everything. Love it, like it, hate it. Then what I did is for each of them, I decided what's my priority. What am I going to go big on? Now notice here, one really important thing. I'm going to pick my priority. Not priorities, just one. For each of these things, I am going to pick one to focus on for the next 6 months or for the next year. And then I'm going to regularly reevaluate that. So with work, I decided that I would focus on Azure. That's where I decided to spend my time. And you know what? A couple years later, it's definitely paid off. I give full-day pre-conference sessions on Azure. I can walk into customers and have confident discussions about multiple pieces of Azure, not just Azure SQL database. I'm a SQL Server person, but I can talk about networking. I can talk about AD. I can talk a little bit about things like document DB or data warehouse. But that's because I decided that I was going to do that one thing. And that's what I did. And I got good at it, and it's paid off. And sure, I probably don't know as much as I should about maybe running SQL Server on Linux, but that's not what I do. I probably don't know as much as I could about running data warehousing workloads in SQL Server analysis services. That's okay. There are people that do. I don't have to know all of that. At home, I decided I can absolutely cook dinner every night. I love doing it. I'll continue to do that. But, and no one here ever tell my mother I said this, I found someone to clean my house for me. Became one of those things where just the time and effort that was expending, that was one of those little 10 balls of energy that was going out that I didn't need to be expending. So yes, I paid someone to clean my house for me. And yard work, well, the agreement is that my husband will do that. That's okay. He likes it. He loves it. He's a much better gardener than I am. He has a green thumb. I have a black thumb. When it came to hobbies, we all need them. You absolutely need something outside of your family life and your work to keep fulfilled and busy and interested. I have 100 hobbies. That's my problem. I love cooking. I love reading. I love running. I love biking. I love camping. All of these things. But I realized that what I really loved, what I was most fulfilled doing, where I was getting my best, most meaningful social interactions with people I loved and respected, was running. I have this great group of friends. We get together a couple times a week. We run all over the place. So I decided to give up other things. I sadly gave up violin lessons, and I miss it, but I don't have time for it. I love writing, but I don't inflict upon myself like I have to write something every single day anymore, because that's not what I chose. I decided to dedicate myself to running, and I've been happy. I've been thrilled. I love it. Like I said in my introduction, I'm prepping to run my first ultra marathon this year. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort. It also means that even within this hobby of mine of loving to run and bike and do all that stuff, I've had to just decide to run, right? My girlfriend's like, oh, it's road bike season. Let's all get out and ride 100 miles this weekend. My friends are slightly crazier than I am even, which is good. And I've had to say no to a lot of those things, but I keep that one big goal in mind, that I get to go out every weekend and run in the woods with my friends for hours, and that makes me happy, and it gives me time to think. It lets me be bored. I have ideas when I'm doing it. I'm creative. That's the kind of paring down that you need to do in all aspects of your life to go from being busy to being bored. And what you'll need to do after you've picked your priority is tossing the rest out. This might be one of the hardest things to do, but we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. few things that we are probably proud of quitting. I quit smoking about 7 years ago, right? That's a good thing to quit. People that, quit drinking soda or quit drinking coffee or, quit doing negative, harmful habits. We think of that as being good, right? But what about things that we're actively involved in that are exhausting, tiring, doing us more harm than good, emotionally and mentally dragging us down? What about things that we love but we simply don't have time for, but we're already invested in them? Maybe we have to quit other things. Let me tell you a story about 5 years ago, Jes. I actually had to look through my Gmail to figure out the exact dates on this, and I went, that's why. I was asked to write a book. Not be a co-author, but like write my own book. Kind of a big deal, right? Especially in the technical world. This isn't like some $2.99 Kindle romance novel that, some housewives are going to read. Like, this would be a big technical thing put out by one of the big technical publishers. I accepted. I actually reached out and found a co-author to help with a couple of the chapters that I wasn't strong on. We came up with an outline, submitted it to the publisher. It got approved. We divided up the work. I outlined out my first 4 or 5 chapters. I also was starting a new job, training for a marathon, running a sequel Saturday, trying to spend every free night and every weekend morning suddenly having to sit down and write words that just weren't coming naturally to me. And I struggled. I started not meeting deadlines. I would call up my editor and be like, I'm working on it. I'm just not, it's not coming to me. Sure, I have another 500 words. Yes, I know I need 1,000. Can I get an extension? I was miserable, but I was going to stick it out. Absolutely. I agreed to do this. This is going to be amazing. And then a couple weeks later, I started having more doubts. So I went to my co-author, and I said, how do you feel about this? Like, really? He's like, I am great. I love it. I've got my 2 chapters written. And I went, oh, now I'm really slacking. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to finish it. A couple more weeks go by. I'm still sitting there at 10, 10:30 at night, 6 a.m. on the weekends, looking at it, not being able to write, not coming up with any good content. Talked to one of my friends, and she was like, Jes, what is this? What is this accomplishing? What is this doing for you? Are you learning? Are you growing? Like, no, I'm just swearing a lot. And that was the truth. I was swearing. I spent a couple nights in tears, and so I decided to quit. I wrote up a formal letter to the publisher saying that I was unable to fulfill my contract, legally binding contract I had signed. I sent it to my co-author so he knew. I sent it to the publisher, and I quit. I never got to be a published author. That sucked. That hurt. That was hard. And 2 weeks later, I was happier than I had been in probably 6-8 months. I will probably never be asked by that publisher to write again, and that's okay. I really hated the process of writing a book. It was terrible for me. There are people that do it, and they love it, and good for them. I won't be able to do it. So sometimes we have to quit. It comes down to recognizing when you need to, and again, being able to just say, I'm sorry, I can't do this. We need to find someone else to do it. If you're struggling with the decision to quit something, this is what I want you to think about. If I wasn't already invested in this opportunity, how much would I give up to do it now, knowing what I know now? Sometimes we start something, and let's be honest, we don't know how much work is going to be involved. Sometimes we start something, and then our lives change. Sometimes we just say yes because we want to be that helpful person because it makes us feel good, it makes the other person feel good, and we don't really think about what our calendar looks like for the next 2 months or 6 months. So think of this. Nope, that's the wrong slide. Didn't even realize that. How much would I put into this right now, knowing what I know now, if I were not already invested in this project? Following this will help you understand how much effort you're putting into something versus how much you have to give. So this is where we go from that what am I doing to what do I want to be doing to picking the priority. And then we're tossing out stuff. So there may be some things that were on that list of what we are doing that are not on the priority list, and we need to practice this. We need to practice quitting. We need to say, I know that I am on the board of directors for this organization. It's taking more time than I can give this year. You know, please find someone else to fill this spot. It can mean saying no, you know, going to your manager at work and saying, I know that I am on this project as an advisory person. I simply have too much to do. You know, I'm already working 40 hours a week. This adds another 6 to 8. We need to find someone else. I cannot continue to do this and produce quality work. It's a hard discussion to have, absolutely. But quitting is not failure. And even if it is, failure is just another way to grow. Just teaches us something. The hard part, though, the hardest part of this whole process is that this has to be continuous. So you maybe sometime this week, you go and sit down and think of all the things you're doing. You pick all of those things you love and those things you like, and you realize what you don't like. You know, you hire someone to clean your house or do your yard work for you. And then you spend the next few months going through, maybe you quit a few things, say no to some things. What you need to be doing is continuously, always having this idea of what is my priority, and when new opportunities come along that don't fit in with that, you have to say the scariest word in the whole English language. We have to say no. Knowing how to say no is difficult. We are not taught how to say no. We are taught that yes is good and no is bad. But what if you say no and you regret it for a couple minutes, maybe a couple hours, maybe even a couple days? That's fine. What if you say yes and you regret it 9 months later? What if you say yes and you regret it a year later? Saying no can be a very short-term painful thing. Saying yes can be a much more long-term painful thing. I say no regularly. Just in the last 3 months, I've had to say no to a few things that have absolutely killed me, like felt bad for weeks. Speaking of things like starting a new job and running an ultra marathon, well, my girlfriends are going out to Lake Tahoe, California for a 4-day yoga and music retreat, and they invited me along. That sounds amazing. I want to do that. I have airline miles. I don't mind doing that. That's trying to fit that into my new work schedule, trying to take vacation right away. That's a weekend away from running training. It's another weekend away from my family because I'm already going out to Yellowstone in that same month to run another race, so I had to say no. You know what? My girlfriends were fine with it. They're like, okay, we'll get you next time. It still sucked. It's gonna suck when they're posting pictures on Facebook that weekend and I'm not there, but long term it was the right decision. Another thing that I had to say no to, there's a Sequel Saturday coming up this summer, and I was asked to do a pre-conference session. Not only that, but one of my professional heroes, someone I look up to, someone that's written the books, someone that is internationally known as a speaker, asked me to co-present the pre-conference session with him. Yes, I want to do that. I want to talk query tuning with you. We would pack a room. That would be awesome. But I would have to try to write a new pre-conference session, collaborating with another person remotely while trying to settle into my new job and trying to run 30 miles. I don't have that kind of bandwidth. I don't. If it was maybe next summer when I'm more settled into my job, maybe. If it was, in the fall when I'm done running this big race, maybe I could. But I realized, I thought about it. I went, how much work is this going to be? And I said no. It took me a day and a half to actually hit send on that email. Not kidding. It sat in my drafts folder for a day and a half before I could actually say no. But I did. And it sucked. But I don't have that worry. I don't have that stress. So I say no. I say no all the time. You can learn to say no too. Another big important thing is separating that decision to say no from the relationship. Separate what you are saying no to from whom you are saying no to. When I said no to doing the pre-con with this other presenter, did he say, well, I never want to speak to you again, or I'm never considering that? Nope, he said, sure, I can handle this on my own. I've got some material. I'll see you at the event. Awesome. No relationship is damaged there. Because here's the thing. If saying no to someone really affects your relationship with them to that degree, is that a relationship you really want? Do you really want to have a relationship with someone who expects you to always say yes? No. Understand that sometimes, though, particularly at work, I find this to be the case that saying no can mean trading some popularity for respect. And that's okay. Again, we want to be the yes person, right? If you want something done, ask a busy person to do it is good, but that just means you're popular. It doesn't mean that people respect you. Saying, no, I can't do this event this weekend because that's family time, that person might be a little bit upset, but then they realize that you have boundaries and you have a priority, and they will respect you for that. Now, how do we say no? Understand that sometimes no can be a complete sentence. I remind myself of this. Sometimes no is a complete sentence. Someone asks you to do something, and just say no. That's it. You don't have to justify yourself. Everything, every time. Now, if your manager is asking you to lead some major initiative at work, and you just take off your headphones, look at them, say no, and then go back to it, maybe that's not the right, maybe that's not the right situation for this, but there are times, hey, can you help me out with this problem? Do you have 5 minutes? No, actually I don't. Okay, walk away. If that is not enough, what are some other strategies? Again, if nothing else helps in this whole presentation, I hope that the next few slides, giving you different ways to say no, is the most helpful. Try this sometime. Someone walks up to your desk, or IMs you, and says, can you help me with this problem right now? Slowly count to 5. That does 2 things. One, it gives you time to think of how to nicely say no without sounding like you haven't had your coffee yet, you have 500 emails in your inbox, and you really, really need to start working on that idea that you thought of when you were driving to the office. The other thing it can do is let that person look at you, look at what's going on around you, and maybe realize, oh, you're busy. Maybe I'll come back. So sometimes just giving yourself that 5-second pause can be very helpful. Try this. Instead of saying a hard no, try a soft no. No, but. Can you help me on this right now? No. But can I call you later today when I have some free time? Can you be on the board of directors for this event? No, but maybe I can help volunteer the day of. You know, Jess, do you want to run this marathon with us on this day? No, but maybe I'll run a 5K with you a different weekend, right? Simple things like that. Don't always just make it a hard no. You can make it a soft no and offer something else instead. What can you do? Here's a good one. When someone gives you something with a deadline, don't just say no. A good way to deflect that is to say, let me check my calendar. You're not saying no right away. And this is a perfectly valid thing to do. Maybe you need to check so that you aren't overcommitted. Maybe especially if it's something that is a big thing, right? Sure, someone asks you out to dinner on Tuesday, you might have to say, let me check my calendar, because you don't really want to go out to dinner with that person, and you say no later. But it can be a bigger thing like putting together a big pre-con session or learning a new language or doing something. Let me check my calendar, let me see if I have time for that. Maybe you can say no later. A good one, and I've used this at work particularly in talking to your managers, yes, what should I deprioritize? This is a way to say no because you're telling this other person, I will do this for you if you pick something else to take off my plate. Then they have to think about what other projects are impacted. They have to think about what deadlines are impacted. They have to think about what budgets are impacted. Yes, what should I deprioritize? Yes, what should I remove from my current to-do list? That can be really useful. Here's one of my other favorites. I can't, but blank may be interested. I use this a lot for like community stuff. Jess, can you speak for my user group next week? No, I can't, but I know someone that talks about such and such a topic. Let me see if they're interested. Or, no, but I know this person is really looking for more speaking opportunities. Here's their email address. You know, Jess, can you help me with this Power BI thing? No, but Seth may be able to help. Being able to, oh, I think there's a caught wire. There we go. All right. So no, but blank may be interested. This helps in a couple ways. You're not just directly saying no to the person, and you're also giving someone else an opportunity that they may thank you for later. I was going to have some audience participation, but we're running a little bit low on time, but think about that. What are other ways you can say a soft no? So saying no. Remember, you're gonna cut down your list of things you were doing. You're gonna pick a priority. You're gonna have to say no continuously. Now start small. Maybe on Monday, you decline a meeting request because you're one of 20 people invited. You barely know the project, but they just put your on it. That's 15, 30, maybe 60 minutes out of your day back. And no one will even notice if you're not there. Work up, right? Say no to taking on someone else's work, someone else's deadline. Let them deal with it. It's that what should I deprioritize for you? Maybe you build up to being able to say no to a full project or taking on a management role, something you don't really want to do. Small no's will build up to bigger no's. My ultimate and guiding thought now. This is what I really use. If it's not hell yes, I have to do that, it's a no. I get asked to speak at a lot of places. I do, and I love it, but I can't be everywhere all the time. When Min and Lewin asked me to do this today, this was a hell yes. I want to be sharing this knowledge with you guys. When I was asked to present at a couple of local user groups on a Tuesday night when there were other people locally that had new presentations to practice before the upcoming SQL Saturday, I said no, because that wasn't a hell yes. I absolutely have to speak for your group for the 7th time. It's all about priorities. So remember that. If it's not hell yes, it's no. Just a few other things as well to help you with going from being a truly busy person to being bored. Set aside time to think and read. So Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn, Warren Buffett, you might have heard of him, kind of a famous guy. Maybe you know who Bill Gates is, might have heard of him. These are really successful people. They all build in 2 hours a day to just sit and think, not answer email, not attend meetings, not be working, reviewing spreadsheets, but think time. Bill Gates puts aside a think week every year. Warren Buffett reads something like 50 magazines every day, flips through them, peruses their content. Now, granted, not all of us can put 2 hours a day on our calendar to think. But what if you just set aside 15 minutes every morning? What if you took a walk at lunch for 20 minutes? No smartphone, no books, no colleagues, no kids. What if you just took 15 minutes a day to think about anything? It doesn't have to be something big and important, but when you're thinking about just letting your mind wander, you often do come up with that solution to that hard problem. You come up with something new, some really good idea. Build in time to think, build in time to read, build in time to learn and grow. Take time to sit and breathe. Just think things through. Relax a little bit. I was just reading a really good article on deep breathing exercises in the New York Times. Especially when someone is coming up to you and rushing you and wants you to say yes to something. Take a few deep breaths. Relax. It can help. Get enough sleep. Sleep is magic. Not enough people here raised their hand. I sleep 8 to 9 hours a night, every single night. And yet I still manage to run user groups and have a full-time job and train for ultramarathons. I build in that time. I went on vacation recently and I slept 10 hours a night for the first 4 nights. It was magic. Make sure that you are getting enough sleep. Your health will be better, your mental clarity will be better, your focus will be better. How do you get enough sleep? Well, you have to plan for it. You actually have to turn your laptop or tablet off like half an hour before you plan to go. I don't even sleep with a cell phone in the bedroom anymore, right? Like that's in the kitchen. I don't even have that there to ding and buzz and vibrate when something comes in. Just done. You know, and all the regular stuff about not eating too much before you go to sleep, not drinking too much, etc. But sleep is really important. Sleep keeps us focused. Sleep keeps us healthy. So with that, I hope that today I've given you some strategies to help you go from being a person that is always busy to having some time to be bored, to having time to sit and think and explore, having fun. Remember, it's about knowing what you're doing, identifying what you actually want to be doing, and picking your priority. Then, you have to quit some things, and quitting is hard, but you can do it. You're going to have to say no to things. But remember, saying no is okay. Again, a really helpful book, if you're interested, is Essentialism by Gregory McCown. I love this book. Be happy to talk about it a little bit more with anyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. There's my email address, and you can almost always reach me on Twitter. I'm girl_geek. So with that, I know we have a busy day ahead of us, tons of great sessions. Thank you for coming today, and enjoy the show.